It's Rick without the K. James presents In My Opinion Podcast.
Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, as well as the notification bell. Thank you for watching.
The next question is, should you become a promoter? Why or why not?
I'll go first because I feel like I've done a lot of promoting, and I see the pros and cons of it. I think as a promoter, I'll be the first to say, as a promoter, you get kind of big-headed a little bit. You feel like you're top of the thing sometimes, and it took me a little bit to be like, man, sometimes it was just my ego driving to do another show. And it took me a while to realize, man, some of these shows aren't that successful. Some of these, no matter what other comics may think. And sometimes, and that's me being real. That's me being very vulnerable right now to saying that.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot of comics wouldn't fucking get on this mic and say that. Be like, nah, bro, you got... So there's pros and cons with this shit. The con is sometimes it makes your ego go out of fucking control, out of whack. Do I think it's necessary? Yes, sometimes. I think every comic should at least promote one show so they realize what the fucking comedy club has to go through.
Right.
I think both of you guys have promoted your own shows. And I've asked you in the past, and you've come out to me, Rudy, unless you've changed your mind. You're like, fuck this promoting shit. I just want to do the art.
I just want to fucking tell jokes. I've tried because I'm glad I did it because it's valuable to know what it takes. So I agree that comics should try promoting just so they know how they're making somebody feel when they show up late or when they disrespect the show or when they disregard the show or when they discredit it. All
it's
the
like working retail, yeah.
Yeah, it's like they should do it just because of that. If you really love the art form, right?
Yeah.
You should definitely give it a try. But once I gave it a try a couple times, I was like, all right, this is not for me, and I don't feel bad because I suck at it. I didn't get into comedy again. I didn't get into comedy to learn how to make flyers. And there's nothing wrong with being a great promoter. I'm just saying once I did it, I realized it's not for me. And all I'm gonna do is make shitty shows. So I'm not gonna fucking waste my time, my energy, and everybody else's time and energy and make them hate comedy because I did a shitty show. You know what I mean? So that's my position is do it, learn it. But if you're not good at it, stop doing it.
And I will say I started doing it. I tell everybody, I said I started doing it because the area that I lived in, I wasn't getting put on shows.
Right.
I wasn't. So it came out of a necessity. It was like, well, if you're not going to throw me on a show, I'll make my own show. And then when my shows started doing successful, people started coming around and acting like they was my best friend. And then that's where it took me a while to realize, man, maybe these motherfuckers aren't friendly. They just are friendly because I got something they want. I thought
obviously.
it wasn't obvious to me.
Really? You thought they liked you?
I thought they really liked me. And
he was the bimbo who thought everybody thought she was really funny.
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy, bro.
So, but on the other hand, like I said, only because the way it started, I started doing shows, it was that. It was the fact that it was built out of that. And then there's been a lot of things, man, I don't know about you guys, but there's been a lot of times where just out of somebody saying I couldn't do it, I was like, okay, cool.
Right.
I'm going to show you I can.
Out of spite.
And some of those shows have been my most successful shows. You know what I mean? Where I'm like, okay, you got a show on the same day as me? All right, I'm going to promote myself 3 times harder than yours. Yeah. And then we do the numbers at the end, and I'm like, that's why I had 200 more people than you did at your motherfucking show. Right. Where, that playfulness gets me going, but I also know it wasn't good, for me physically or mentally. You know what I mean? Where I was just like, man, this is taking a toll on me. I don't know if I can consistently do this. I had a running show at Tommy T's once a month for almost 5 years straight. But there were months where I knew that I was just like, man, I don't want to do this. And finally, it wasn't until my divorce happened where I was like, finally, thank God something happened so I could stop fucking doing this shit. You know what I mean? Thank you for sucking another penis, bitch. Right? So,
that's the greatest marketing of all time right there. Come to the show, get your dick sucked.
Jesus. Well, I do...
So you still promote, or you?
Oh man, it's very stressful. I hate it too. It's stressful for so many ways. The number one way being, bruh, I got to get people to come to this fucking show, especially if you're doing it you're doing it at a club and you're in a position like I am where, you know, some local people know you, but you're not known nationally, universally, and all that shit. So you're going to get a Wednesday night. You're going to get a Thursday night, and you got to get motherfuckers to come to the middle of nowhere in accordance to where they work right after work, and they got to be there by 8 o'clock the latest, and then you got to get them out by 9:30. It's very stressful. And then on top of that, you got people, bruh, how come you never booked me? And it's like, blood, I'm worried about getting motherfuckers in asses in seats. I'll do the whole show my goddamn self if need be. I just need asses in seats. But I do think that from a comedy business standpoint, everybody has to. If you want to make it to that next level of success in comedy, you have to promote yourself. You have to throw your own shows at least occasionally. And even if you're not throwing your own shows, you got to promote yourself amongst other people so then that you can get booked. You have to network. That's marketing yourself in a way, because otherwise, bro, very few, I'm willing to bet very few, if any, motherfuckers are just getting booked based off who they are. And for those that are, it's like they're related to somebody famous, or there's something about them that creates a leverage that makes people want to book them. So maybe their social media audience is good enough to where I don't have to throw my own shows, fuck it. But if your social media audience is good enough, you're going to start throwing your own shows anyway, because it's going to be your night at a club, because you're going to be headlining it. But I think as trash as promoting is, you have to figure out where, like, for example, the flyers, I don't have time. I've been working this whole goddamn time we've been podcasting. You know what I'm saying? My time management is trash. I'm trash at arts.
Luckily, you have your own camera, because only when you're talking is when we're going to show you. Otherwise, it's just going to be us two on camera.
I don't have time to learn a lot of shit. So there's different ways about, just because you can't do it doesn't mean that you don't do it. So what do? I go find somebody, I pay them to do the flyer. I go have to invest in the printing of the flyers to be able to pass them the fuck out.
Have you lost on a show?
Yeah.
Have you lost on a show?
Of course.
Sure. I think that's where it changes the game. Is I've lost and lost and lost. And that's where I think that's part of me that gets angry about this shit is, again, for people or comics that want to say something about Rick or this, I've always paid the comics what I said I was going to. I've always done this. But at a certain point, I'm like, am I doing this straight for my ego? Because I could just hand Rudy the $50 and then let's go do something else. Like, why do I got to pretend we're going to have a show to do all this shit?
Right.
You know what I mean? Where it's gotten to that point where at some point you got to realize, like, who's it benefiting? And if it's not benefiting you as a comic, then that's where I would say it's time to stop promoting, bro. Like, if it's not benefiting you in some way or form,
or find a way that it's going to benefit.
Yeah, you got to pivot. You got to pivot.
You get. I mean, if you have the
shout out to the Pivot podcast.
Oh, nice.
That's a good podcast.
If you have a penchant for promoting and pivoting, for that matter, I mean, you just got to find a different way to make it work for you. You know, maybe you don't go to a club where they're getting all the door money. Maybe you do a different deal with that club, or maybe you go to a restaurant and set up a more specific deal with them. You know, there's different ways to do it. It's just like, really the question is like, how deep do you want to look into it? Because it's easy to go to a club and have them give you an off day, and then you can make the flyer and you feel like, oh, I'm doing a show at a club. I'm at the San Jose Improv on a Wednesday, or I'm at Tommy T's on a Thursday. That's easy. Anybody could do that. But it takes like a real special mentality and a real special promoter to be like, no, I'm going to go find a place where I can make some money. Not go to a place where they have deals where I don't get to make that money.
Yeah. Where they're going to make all the money and you get to say that you
work there.
To an extent, going back to even the concept of losing money and shit, you got to know your price. And if it goes beyond your price, then you say no. Because the money that I've lost, it's money that I, provided via my paycheck from my full-time job. So it wasn't like, bro, this is my last $300, and if this doesn't work, I'm homeless. It's like, no. We're gonna see how much can I really afford to lose. Okay, that's how much I'm gonna invest. And then it's all a perspective thing too, because doing those weeknights at a big club fucking suck. Because if nobody knows your name, it's hard for people with Friday night, the first show at a Tommy T's at 7 o'clock, 7:30 is hard for a national headliner because motherfuckers still low-key ain't off of work yet or barely out of traffic. Yeah. So it's there's always difficulties to it, but you got to just make shit happen and put shit into perspective. Yeah, like for example, I definitely want to find me a venue very soon where I can do weekend gigs because weekend will allow me to have a better chance of packing out a show. Now on a weekday, it's really fluke, hit or miss.
A weekday at Rowan's house
in the a weekday in the middle of a pandemic is fucking is very, very difficult. It's even hard to get them to come for free for those, let alone pay. But you look at the perspective of, okay, certain clubs will let you use their space. And although for us, because we've been doing it so long, and y'all been doing it longer than me, you look at doing a show at a Tommy T's, like anybody could do that. There's motherfuckers at these open mics who wish they had that rapport. So you built the rapport with that club, you're allowed that opportunity. Not everybody has that rapport. Right. And then you look at it and it's like, yeah, shit could be better. But then you look like, okay, I'm not paying rent essentially for the night. I'm not paying to use the space. The mics are already here. The sound system's already here. All this shit is already here. I just have to find a way to put people there. And I think like for me, I keep telling myself, I need to work with people to throw these shows, but then shit be going so fast. I'm like, I ain't got time to ask nobody if they down to do this shit. So I'm doing it. I just got the date now. I'm doing it now. Yeah, it has to be. That's
the best way to do it, I think. Anyways, is alone.
I know because that's where the stress. Especially if you have a life other than, like you got other shit to do, that's where the stress comes real. It becomes real stressful.
I did want to share this, man, for anybody watching. I tell people, Ellis Rodriguez, I had him on a show years ago. It was my birthday month.
E-Rod.
And it was my birthday month, and I tell people I had a deal with the club that I was doing it, and you had to hit a certain number of heads for them to pay out. And it was damn near right there on it. And I didn't really have any money to pay Ellis that show. So if we didn't hit that number, I was like, dude, I'm going to have to pay this motherfucker out of my own pocket and shit. On my birthday. Like, it was literally on my birthday. Yeah. And when I told Ellis didn't feel bad for me. And I tell people it was a learning experience what Ellis was about to share with me. Because I told him, and he's like, bro, it sounds to me like you need to learn how to do business better. He goes, because you owe me my money. Like, and I go, what do you mean? He goes, if you weren't comfortable with the numbers there, then you shouldn't have took this show and booked someone like me on it then. He goes, because you told me a price. Now you got to pay that price. So you go figure out if you're getting this money or not. Right. And luckily, the dude that was running the club, like I said, it was like 5 or 10 heads off. And it was a lot of fucking heads. It was like 200 or 300 to be there. So me and the club owner, I was just like, hey, dude, are you going to pay me? Or like, and he's like, look, bro, I know it's your birthday. Like, I'm not even going to sweat you because everybody's buying shit at the bar anyways. And I was like, thinking to myself, like, thank you. But I thought about it too. And I was like, dude, I was the dumbass who agreed to. You're right. I was the dumbass who agreed to 250 fucking people before I get paid.
You took a Ricky Williams deal. That's what you did. A Ricky Williams rookie deal. That's the fuck you did.
So I tell comics,
incentive-based.
Don't do that deal, man. Don't do that deal. I mean, that was the conversation I had with you when I first met you. When I saw you brought people and shit, and I was all, Jose, you can bring people. Why fucking do these shows when you're bringing other companies money? Make your shit the money or whatever.
Piggyback into you always giving props and whatnot. That is exactly how I ended up building rapport with the Tommy T's, because you see me at an open mic, came by, he was like, hey, if you don't win, holler at me after. And then I hollered at you after. I didn't win the little competition, open mic competition that night.
Who won?
Hell if I know. The club don't remember. But whatchamacallit, after that, started doing shows with you, and then started doing shows with you and Melvin, and then ended up meeting Jay Rich, and then just relationships and shit like that. The ecosystem, as it's supposed to be.
Main man, Rick James. That's the one you think. The comedian Rick James. Get up.
I can't hear my neighbor crying. I can't breathe.
Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, as well as the notification bell. Thank you for watching.